We should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy. Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA TV College Jos invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate online news reporting skills. Date 1st March to 12th March 2021. 2 weeks. Studio lighting indoor and outdoor. Date 1st March to 5th March 2021. 1 week. Modern trends in broadcast media marketing. Date 15th March to 9th April 2021. 4 weeks. Understanding public service rules and mastering the art of standard minute writing, reports, memoranda, and briefs. Date 15th February to 12th March 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week courses is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Yeah, welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria live on network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Professor Osunbo and indeed the other gentlemen with us in the studios this morning, it is often said that in a number of well-ordered societies, there is willing obedience to the law in general. Some persons would argue that it is because there is a consequence for lack of obedience, but there's generally, when some places you visit, people willingly comply with the law. There's no compulsion. You don't have to have the fear at the back of your mind that if you do that, you know that this is the right thing to do. We were once in that same situation in this country until we just saw the gradual collapse and then the reign of impunity that we're having now. How do we work our way back to that era where you willingly obey the law? Something as simple as not running a red light at the traffic point. Something as simple as say, look, this is the right thing for me to do. I should do it. Again, because I know that if I did the right thing, my neighbor will also do the right thing, and we have a more peaceable environment.
Well, it's a big issue, and I do not pretend to have the answers to this, other than to refer to what I called earlier on a cultural issue. That is a cultural thing. It's the behavior of our people, if you can put it that way. But it can change. And one glaring illustration of the fact that it can change is the queuing culture. I was in Lagos, attended law school, when in the early 70s, mid 70s, when I first got to Lagos. Entering a bus then, or even they had Bolekaja then, from Mushin area to you will see a lot of, there was no queue, just to put it simply. People were not used to queuing. But it took a head of state that said, no, there has to be war against indiscipline. There has to be a queuing culture. There had to be agents military people standing at strategic places to ensure that people complied. And it is a good legacy of that era that queuing culture has endured. Now you don't find the kind of behavior, maybe not to the extent that it used to be in those days, where it was a matter of survival of the fittest to enter into a bus. So leadership can help to inspire this discipline and can help to change the behavior of people. But they say old habits die hard. It will require a lot of effort. You compare to some other places, one thing that also amazes me is the willingness or the readiness of an offender abroad to accept, to own up and say, yes, I did it.
That's right.
But here, even if you saw the thing in the bus, once it drops, you see it from my hand.
It's not my own. No.
It's not my own. I didn't touch it.
Or you say the policeman planted it on him.
Or they planted it. But abroad, he will say, yes. Yes, I did it. He will own up. His people will also own up. They will even call police to say, our brother is doing this.
Yeah. That's right.
Somebody in our neighborhood is doing this. But how many people in Nigeria can phone police and say, my brother, I just saw my brother or my sister committing this kind of offense? Again, if he does it, the example from Nasarawa, former Attorney General, is that his people will descend on him. You are a betrayer.
They will tell you blood is thicker than water.
Blood is thicker than water. How dare you report your own blood to the police? So the question is, how do we change that culture, that attitude, way of life? I don't know, other than to say, well, the leadership can still try. But one of the people who sent in a tweet said it was the responsibility of leaders. Good governance is responsibility of leaders. Yeah. That is erroneous. It's very wrong. The earlier we discard that notion, the better. Good governance is a matter for everybody. While government is doing its bit, the citizen also has to do its bit. As they say, you need two hands. You can't clap with one hand. Both have to work in synergy for you to achieve the desired result. So that is, in summary, my opinion, that this is a task for all of us. See how we can change our attitude, our way of life, our belief system to ensure that if society is good, it is good for all of us. If you are protecting a criminal, what goes round comes round. Yes. That you may, at the end of the day, be a victim of what you have planted. Okay,
Professor Osumbo, let's now come to retired IGP Suleiman Abba. Attitudinal change. And one question I need to ask you briefly for your answer is, how do you go about having, psychological evaluation for our police officers? Because at times, the aggression, that emanates from them at times, that's what makes people become aggressive towards them at times. Briefly.
Well, let me say that at the point of entry, police officers are clinically tested. Psychologists are involved. Serving police officers, there are also psychologists. One of my classmates, Ojuku, is one of them. And he still gets involved in such activities. But I want to say that, and that may also answer why we are still where we are. It's not that nothing is done to get the policeman, the right policeman, employed. Somebody who has good IQ, good emotional intelligence, that's to say somebody who is healthy enough. And it's not that the syllabus for the training has changed. No, it's still good. And there are also improvements. But the problem is still with the society. The colonial hangover on both sides, on the side of the policeman thinking that he's only there to enforce the law. not there to assist. His main duty is to assist the populace. And this assistance is exhibited greatly, on guiding children to cross the road, traffic control generally, against what a fella of old memory used to say, motto from where's this confusion, nobody at the center. But with the policeman, you provide that assistance. You also patrol the streets when people are asleep, so that you give them the protection they need. That's the kind of assistance. It is not just policing to arrest people, no. It is policing to make sure that you prevented the commission of crime. Unfortunately, that is not what we see every day. The background is about arrests. And then the people, the public, it is a matter of committing, and simply because you can bribe your way for the investigations to be changed or whatever. So it is a system that the two have to come together, like Prof says. We need to improve on our values so that everybody contributes in this crime-free society.
Thank you very much, IGP Suleiman. Adapson, very quickly, this whole issue of willingness to obey the law, and then, of course, the doctrine of blood being thicker than water. As Professor Osunbo said, it is unlikely that your brother or sister will call the law enforcement agents or even your neighbor. And yet, in the villages, you are likely to find that fellow villagers, of course, will squeal on another villager who has committed an infraction in the community. Briefly, before we wrap up.
Thank you very much. I think it is a false sense of modernization and civilization that many people have claimed to have now, and particularly the upbringing in some major cities. People now want to live life like they are brought up in America. They are people who are over-civilized. And that is why, in most cases, you discover that the society is becoming lawless. And once the society becomes lawless, it is unlawful for it to become lawful. And that is why it is said that it is unlawful to become lawful in a lawless society. Because people now have metamorphosed from that level of being people who understand their values, people who now have proper upbringing, people who knows the value of life and their culture. They now feel that what they need to do is to change to another life to protect yourself. So they look at it as if it is issue of self-preservation.
Okay, thank you so much, Adapson Tanimu, former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Nasarawa State. Thank you so much for joining us. Retired Suleiman Abba, IGP, and Board of Trustees, Chairman Board of Trustees, Nigerian Police Trust Fund. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you indeed.
And Professor Osamereme and Osunbo, former Governor, Edo State, and former Chairman, Nigeria Law Reform Commission. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Join us again tomorrow for another edition. I am Joma Yosef.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo.